check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it.
Hey, Greg and the CE, call me hip hop junkie. Straight to your dome piece like Brass Monkey. All I wanna know, do you wanna get funky? CNC beats be kicking like a donkey. Get down if you're chunky but funky. Get down if you're chunky but funky.
So nanti kita sikit. Welcome, Chairperson.
Okay, please have a seat, everyone.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates. So, today, this emergency sessions of the United Nations has been called to address the continuing conflict between Israel and Palestine. Even though the UN General Assembly has repeatedly supported a ceasefire, the violence has not stopped. The UN Security Council also attempted to pass a binding ceasefire, but the resolution failed because one of the permanent members used its veto power. Today, our purpose is to discuss the key legal issue, the humanitarian situation, and the possible solution based on international law. We aim to understand what is happening, why it continues, and what the UN can realistically do. So now, begin with the opening statement.
Thank you, Chairperson. Israel continues to face ongoing attack from armed groups, especially Hamas. Thousands of rockets have been fired toward Israel towns and cities, directly targeting our civilians. Under Article 51 of the UN Charter, every state has the right to defend itself, and Israel is exercising the right. Our military operations are aimed at removing this threat, not at harming civilians. Whenever possible, we issue warning, evacuation notice, and create humanitarian corridors so civilians can leave dangerous areas safely. Unfortunately, Hamas often places its military infrastructure inside crowded civilian neighborhoods. This makes it extremely difficult to carry out precise operations without risking any civilians. Israel respects the international humanitarian law and continue to take steps to reduce harm. Our priority is security, and every action we take is focused on protecting our people.
Thank you, Chairman. We strongly disagree that Israel's actions are self-defense. Israel is not as defending state, but as an occupying power, and occupation comes with responsibilities under international humanitarian law. The International Court of Justice, in its 2004 advisory opinion, confirmed that Israel's occupation and the constructions of the wall violate international law. The UN Security Councils, through Resolution 242 and 338, clearly requires Israel to withdraw from the territories it occupies. Yet, the occupation continues, and settlement expansions in the West Bank continues as well, which violates the Fourth Geneva Convention. Today, thousands of Palestinian civilians, including many children, have been killed. Homes, hospitals, schools have been destroyed. These actions cannot be justified as self-defense. They are violations of international law. The world must act to protect our people and ensure justice.
Thank you. From the Human Rights Report, the UN Human Rights Office has documented many serious humanitarian consequences. There has been very high number of civilian casualties, and this includes many women and children. We also have observed the destruction of hospitals, medical facilities, and even UN shelters that were meant to protect displaced people. Humanitarian access is often blocked or limited, which prevents aid from reaching those who need it most. At the same time, more than 1 million people have been displaced from their home. International humanitarian law and the Geneva Conventions require all parties in a conflict to distinguish between civilians and combatants. Unfortunately, this rule is often not followed. Although the United Nations has attempted many times to call for a ceasefire, the conflict continues because this call these calls are not enforced. The humanitarian situation is becoming worse every day, and immediate international action is needed to prevent more suffering.
Thank you. From a legal point of view, three major issues must be noted. The first issue is the legality of the occupation and settlement. Under the 4th Geneva Convention, an occupying power cannot move its civilian population into the territory it occupies. Israel's settlement activities in the West Bank therefore violate this principle. The second issue concerns attack on civilians. International humanitarian law requires both sides to follow the principle of distinction and proportionality. This means that they must distinguish between civilian and fighter, and any attack must not cause excessive harm to civilians. Indiscriminate attacks can amount to war crimes. The third issue is the failure of enforcement. The United Nations Security Council has been unable to take effective action because of the veto power used by a certain permanent members, especially the United States. It has made it extremely difficult to enforce ceasefire or accountability measures. Even though the situation is complex, the international law still offers several possible solutions. Now, I would like to propose three realistic solutions based on international law. The first solution is for the UN to request a new advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice. This opinion could address the legality of the occupation, settlement expansion, and de-blockade. An updated advisory opinion would strengthen international pressure and clearly outline the legal responsibility of the parties. The second solution is to strengthen the International Criminal Court investigation. The ICC has jurisdiction to investigate alleged war crimes committed by both sides. Ensuring accountability can discourage future violation and support justice for the victims. The third solution is to use the UN General Assembly Uniting for Peace mechanism. When the Security Council cannot act because of a veto, the General Assembly may recommend collective action. This action can include creating humanitarian corridors, sending monitoring missions, or recommending sanctions. Even without full Security Council support, this step can still create real legal and political pressure.
We welcome effort to bring legal clarity. However, any process, whether through the ICJ or ICC, must also examine the action of Hamas. Israel is open to legal discussion, but our security concern must be respected.
We fully support involvement from the ICJ and also ICC. Palestinians have consistently called for legal accountability. We welcome any mechanisms that brings justice and protects civilians.
We stress once again the urgent need for humanitarian access. Whatever legal debates may be, civilians must not pay the price. Immediate protection of the population must remain the priority.
Thank you to our representative and experts. So today's emergency session has identified the several key issues. We discussed the ongoing occupation, the continuing civilian casualties, the repeated failure of ceasefire efforts, and the paralysis of the UN Security Council due to the veto system. We heard Israel emphasize its right to self-defense, while Palestine emphasized the illegality of the occupations. So the UN Human Rights Office highlight the severe humanitarian impacts. Our legal expert has explained the major legal challenges and the possible solutions. So the proposed solution includes seeking a new ICJ advisory opinion, strengthening ICC investigations, using the General Assembly through the Uniting for Peace mechanism, and increasing support for humanitarian corridors and negotiation efforts. So we urge all parties to follow our international humanitarian law and to continue working towards a peaceful and lawful solutions. This conference is now officially adjourned.